All right, everybody, it's 6 o'clock. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes. I move that we approve the agenda for February 25th.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have an agenda. On to item number 3, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board President Wiehlander, other board directors, student representative, staff, parents, and community members. I'll start off. Last week I was at Evergreen Elementary, and as all my visits out, especially on Thursdays, it was really nice to get into specifically some of the primary level classrooms, in particular, Mr. Silva, Miss Daniel, and Mrs. Mathenge. It was really nice to see some amazing instruction going on at Evergreen. I was super impressed. I was talking to the principal candidate, and just some of the work for these teachers, working with the students. They're on the carpet, they're sitting there writing, they're working on their word work, their sight words, phonics, and really proud of it. In fact, Miss Kennedy, the principal, was telling me about like some of the students are growing so much in their literacy skills, they want to come to the after-school program. So I think that's always any educator's dream, is to say, I would like more, to learn more and do more. And so kids are really proud of it. A lot of good things going on at Evergreen. I've seen a lot of growth since I've been here in the district. I'm very proud of the work that the staff at Evergreen are doing. So I just wanted to take a special moment to recognize Evergreen, because I know sometimes some of the comments about that school are just not fair. And one thing in education is that reputations don't keep up with current events. And so lots of change happening at Evergreen. I know sometimes the board comes along with me for some of the school visits, and so let's make sure to get a time to go see some of the things that I saw so that you can see it as well. And of course, any parents or guardians out there want to get a chance to go to Evergreen, see really great instruction, see their student grow. We always encourage you to visit any time to come in and see your student and the things that they are receiving here in the Shelton School District. So thank you so much for that. On a more sour note, we've had a number of windows taken out at Oakland Bay Junior High over the last couple weekends, and I'm really just encouraging at any time for parents and guardians to have conversations with their students about respecting public property. Our schools are funded by taxpayers. We are very fortunate to have these beautiful facilities, this one included. I know OBJH might be a more dated school, but it is still the school that hundreds of students attend, and it has a lot of history here. And I just want to really take a moment to have that conversation with them, because it is really expensive. The damage that was done to those windows is going to be in excess of $50,000. And I don't think some people recognize like how expensive windows are because they're just special windows. And replacing them and making sure they're insulated so there's no leakage, which could create all sorts of other problems for us. Please do that. If anybody knows who's actually involved in that situation, please call the authorities. We are working with the Shelton Police Department very closely on this situation, as of course we want to prevent that or any other future situations across all of our schools, which we take a lot of pride in. And I hope we can educate other youth around just how important it is to respect common property. Just on the budget, continue to work to have our savings and are being really thrifty. We'll continue on those moves. We're already planning for the 25-26 school year. The budgets went out to the schools last Friday. They'll work on the allocations, and so then they have to, the principals along with their teacher leadership teams will have to make some decisions about some of the choices that they have with the staff that they have about how they want to configure services for the students at their schools. So a lot of work there, more to come. We have about another 3 weeks in that process. We are trying to minimize the reductions in staff as much as possible. That's our real goal. Really trying to maintain the staff that we have here. We take a lot of pride in that. Ultimately, I think the reduction in force for certificated teachers will be minimal. Unfortunately, we are also making cuts for school leaders as well, though, to balance that budget. So tough decisions all around. No one takes it lightly. We understand these are people attached to positions, and we will continue to provide support for those as they seek other employment. And of course, we think that we know there'll be openings next year, and hopefully there's a right fit. It's kind of one of the things I just wanted to definitely highlight is that we will be hiring for the next school year, even though we are having a reduction in force. And so some people might not recognize all teachers don't do the same jobs. They are actually endorsed in specific areas, whether that's somebody who's a science teacher at the high school or a shop teacher is somebody that's not going to be usually very well suited to be a kindergarten teacher. So those are just kind of my extreme example, but those are just the things that where are you endorsed, what can you teach in? And so some areas we don't need specific staff. This actually happens every year. Just this year I know in a tight budget, some people are going to think that some things are targeted, but in reality, especially choices at the high school level where students make the choice about what kind of courses they would like to have in the different content areas, and especially CTE. That is just where usually the reductions is where we are displacing folks. So again, trying to minimize the number of staff we're losing. In particular, I'm talking about certificated teachers. So more to come with that. So, and then last, I'd like to end on a positive note with athletics. And Abigail, I didn't want to steal her thunder, but since she's not here, I will say that we had a number of students go to state. So we had 1 swimmer medal, 2 boys on the wrestling team, and 3 girls on the wrestling team. So kudos to the wrestling. Having grown up in Iowa for part of my life, and also one of the high schools I attended won state. I love wrestling. My body just was not situated for wrestling. I was actually a basketball player, so I know that was something that the wrestlers always let me know. So congratulations to the students who placed at state. I think that's awesome. Great for you and great for the high climbers. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And on to community comments. As part of the regular school board meeting, the board welcomes community members to make public comments in person and/or by phone as conditions allow. Please see the full script with call-in instructions and guidelines for community comments displayed on the screen above. First up is Andrew Wilford.
Hello, everyone. I am Andrew Wilford. Been a while since I've been up here. I wanted to talk about Policy 3230 that we had our first reading of the previous meeting. First, I want to acknowledge that just this afternoon, I was given this stack of papers from some community members of the generation not really adept with emails, so they know how to print and sign paperwork. So they handed these to me, asking me to present them to you today about their opinions and objections, I suppose, of Policy 3230. I haven't read through it. It's not my place. I'll hand them to you, Matt, afterwards when I'm done. With Policy 3230, I think what everybody's really not liking is the confidential health info section of that policy. And I agree. I disagree with the state very heavily about their position on keeping parents away from their children in those positions that children want to try to hide from their parents and all those things they want to do and don't want to let their parents know about it. Parents need to be involved, and I understand we as a school district are trying to abide by state law, and I get it. However, in that very same meeting, we had a policy removed by some really simple logic that I tend to agree with. We said we're going to remove this policy because it's already in state law, so we really don't need a policy that shadows exactly what state law says. This confidential health info is effectively the same thing. It's shadowing what state law says, or at least attempting to, with the Parents' Rights Initiative that passed, I'm unclear whether it really follows state law now. I'm not really sure how all that plays together now. I really think the most effective way to quell people's issue with this policy is removing that whole section entirely and just say, we're going to follow state law. We don't need a policy that reflects what state law is, and if the state law changes, then we got to change the policy every time. Let's just remove it. And so the other thing I want to talk about is the last two meetings we had policy changes or presentations from the district, and no questions were asked at all by the board, and that really breaks my heart. We need you guys to ask questions and be inquisitive of what's going on here. We can't just rubber stamp everything they present. I really appreciated Carla when she was on the board, and I told her several times because she asked questions, and they were always things that I had rolling around in my head when there were presentations going on, and she would ask those questions, and I would tell her afterwards, thank you, I had that question in my mind too. We need that from you guys. Please be more inquisitive and ask tons of questions, because here in a few months, we're going to have a budget, and they're going to say, here's our budget for next year. We need you to approve it. Ask questions. Go through that line through line. Scrutinize the beans out of it. Make sure that we're going to spend well below what we know our income is going to be. We got to get out of this financial debt, you guys. Thanks.
Marilyn Aaron.
Good evening. As the budget and financial status of the district are on tonight's agenda, I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone of the superintendent's duties outlined in RCW 28A 430, specifically subsection 3, which states the superintendent must keep accurate and detailed accounts of all receipts and expenditures of school money. At each annual school meeting, the superintendent must present a record book of board proceedings for public inspection and must make a statement of the financial condition of the district. This record book must always be open for public inspection. I urge the board, the superintendent, and the district staff to uphold this transparency and make the records available for public inspection as the law requires. I also have a question regarding the district's enrollment numbers. The OSPI consistently reports higher enrollment figures for the Shelton School District at the beginning of the school year from what I could view back to 2018 to the present than what is being reported by the district office in tonight's report. I would appreciate some clarity on this discrepancy. I would also like to remind the board of the important responsibilities outlined in board policy number 1340, which emphasizes the board's role in prioritizing student learning. This policy outlines the core duty of the board to ensure that the district is held accountable for the academic successes of our students. The goal of the district is to provide every student with the skills and opportunities they need to become responsible, respectful global citizens. This includes not only academic knowledge, but also critical thinking and the tools needed to thrive in both their careers and personal lives. This policy highlights 4 key goals that should be at the heart of the district's educational mission. Ensuring students can read, write, and communicate effectively. Ensuring students have a deep understanding of core academic subjects like math, social studies, the arts, and health. Encouraging students to think analytically, logically, and creatively to solve real-world problems. And ensuring students understand the importance of work and how effort and decisions influence their career opportunities. As a community member, I urge the board to continue to review and support policies that will help achieve these goals. The students of Shelton deserve an education that prepares them for success, and that begins with the commitment and actions of this board. The most recent, consistent grade level knowledge data from 23 to 24 school year is deeply concerning. 32.9% in ELA, 19% in math, and 28.8% in science. These numbers indicate a gap in our students' academic performance, and this pattern has been ongoing since at least 2014. Given the state's goal of 90% of students performing at grade level, our district's performance is far below expectations, and it is clear that we must take action. Washington is one of the leading in the nation per student spending, yet we rank 35th in national high school graduation rates and 23rd in overall school system performance. In 23-24, Shelton School District receives almost $19,000 per student, which is a significant investment. So why are our scores low? Why are our students not proficient?
Thank you.
They deserve better, and you need to do better.
Jess Brissett.
Good evening, board members. My name's Jessica, and I'm here again this week to talk about communication and transparency within the district. About a week ago, I overheard my student discussing something troubling that happened while she was at school. And that was child porn. So a student at OBJ has sent out a picture of themselves to another student, and now it's going around OBJ. So my child was exposed to porn, child porn. And there was no communication, not even something, hey, talk to your kids. These things, whether it's the person doing it or the person viewing it, they are with you for the rest of your life. Again, like our students are in the school, day in and day out, Monday through Friday from 7 to 4. I'm sure we can give them a little education on sending photos, and I'm real disappointed in the school not sending out, hey, talk to your students. This is a problem. These are minors. This is an issue. The concerned look on your face shows me that maybe you are not aware that this is happening, which brings further concern as to why the administration, because I did go to OBJ, I did speak with 2 administrators. They are aware. They know it happened a month ago. It's still going around. That's a problem. So I'd like y'all to look into it. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, on to item number 5, the report from the student representatives. And tonight we have Alan.
Hello. Yeah, so I've got not a lot to report, but we do have quite a bit going on at Cedar High School. First off, Beth has now left Cedar High School as of, I think, last Friday, 2 Fridays ago. On February 13th, we had an assembly. It was sort of a Valentine's Day assembly. We had games, prizes, and at the very end, we had a little bit of a celebration for Beth, just to show her our appreciation. And I think that really just goes to show that the whole presentation idea was an idea by the leadership students, not the staff, although they were more than glad to support it. So I think that really goes to show that at Cedar High School, we really do view each other as a very close-knit, almost family sort of community. So yeah, it's been rough without Beth. She was one of the only people that would be able to go to almost each and every classroom, helping students individually one-on-one. But we do also think that it's a good opportunity for students to learn how to sort of deal with that situation of not quite losing somebody that you love, but being more separate than we used to be. Although with our campus change, Beth will be nearby, not only physically, but in our hearts as well. But on some happier news, we do also have our ASB is starting to plan for Cedar School Dance this year. So we've got some good things going with that. We've also had our ambassadors have gone out to Pioneer now. First time we went, turns out there was a bit of a rescheduling issue. We went back, but the second time we went, we were able to present to all of the 8th graders, and we saw a lot of good engagement from the 8th grade class of Pioneer. They seemed very interested to attend Cedar High School. Some of them even after we were done with the presentation came up to some of us and me specifically and asked us questions about Cedar High School and what it was like there. And I'm really proud of our ambassadors and what we were able to present to those students.
Well, good job to the ambassadors. It's good to hear that you got kids out there that are asking about programs and looking forward to moving up into high school. So, good job. Thanks. 5.02, the budget status report. Mr. Sherman.
Good evening, Board of Directors. I want to walk through Give me one second. I have a slide for you. Some data that was in your board packet I thought I would showcase. If I only have 3 minutes, I guess I could figure it. Okay. I apologize for the graininess of the slide. This is in your board packet. I think you might have seen it before. It is a chart that tracks the FTE by month and has a trend that all the black line or the gray line with the triangles is the 5-year average of whatever enrollment is done from month to month. The thick black line shows you what's happening currently. You will see that we lost around 20 kids from January to February. We have kind of proactively pulled about half those kids back into our system through different programs and options that we offer, which is really promising, and we're trying to promote those out for those folks who are looking for, those parents who are looking for different options or choices for their students. I'll bring this to you every month. I mean, the enrollment is what funds everything, and so this is a first glance slide of it, and we'll have more graphs around enrollment and budget as we move throughout the rest of the year. Any questions on this graph or enrollment in general? Okay, great. I know I've seen it before. Okay, I apologize again for the graininess of it. Go ahead, sir.
Can you just go ahead and just speak to how FTE gets calculated differently?
Oh, sure. In simpler terms, so an FTE is what's called a full-time equivalent. So we think of our kids in terms of head count in reality, right? I have 3 kids. The head count of those kids is 3. But at each school, if a student at Shelton High School is doing Running Start, then they might only be partially on campus and partially somewhere else. And so that full-time equivalency is calculated and to generate how many generates 1 FTE of a kid. So 2 half-time students at Shelton High generate 1 FTE. It's kind of the simplest way to do it. And that is what it's like throughout the rest of the system. If, like personally, our daughter only goes to school in elementary, she was off for an hour, so it wasn't a full FTE, even though she's a full head count. So she's in the classroom with those students with those teachers as part of her class load, but the FTE is what we're funded on from the state. So all the calculations that I'll talk about, and as we move into budget season here and go through budget workshops, it's all around FTE because we're not funded by the number of kids in head count we have. We're funded in our number of students for their FTE that we receive. So it's a little more nuanced than just the number of kids in a certain building. Yeah, great.
Can I ask the question then?
Of course.
Is that different? Is it calculated differently for us versus what OSPI is looking at? Or, I mean, I've always understood the FTE thing. New Market takes that away. Running Start takes that away.
Right.
You know, there's all sorts of things that divide that. But is there a reason why it may look different on OSPI's website?
It could be a timing issue. I'll actually get with that parent afterwards to see where they're seeing the numbers. The FTE we're seeing here is the enrollment by student, and then all the different programs create FTE as well, like the CTE programs have FTE, open doors, like you're talking about Gravity, all those are rolled in and calculated into this number here, and it's by month. And it's just a little trickier, because if you average these numbers out, it's not our annual average as calculated by OSPI. These are like real-time numbers as they're moving through.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I got to figure out this blurriness. I apologize. I was hoping to read through it. This I wanted to create as a summary for additional transparency of the budget status reports in the board packet, and as required, the budget status reports are required to be presented monthly, but they're kind of difficult to read. There's a lot going on in there. And so we tried to create this 1-page PDF as a summary of those. And just as a quick recap, on the far right is the debt service fund, and the dollars that come into those are from taxpayers voting yes for the bonds that we've done in construction projects. And so those dollars come into the debt service fund, and those funds are only used to service that debt and pay down that debt over time. Most bond issuances are 25 or 30 years, so there's a debt schedule for that. That's done by the counties collecting taxes over time, and it's issuing the payments. For the TVF, that's the Transportation Vehicle Fund, those dollars are generated by our depreciation schedule from the buses. We have a bus fleet. They're on a depreciation schedule that generates dollars from the state for help us buy new buses. That fund only is allowed to buy buses. Just a couple more real quick. Capital projects is when we build a building, all the expenses are managed out of that fund. Or if we have giant, like a chiller replacement or a roof replacement, those come out of the capital projects fund. ASB is the one in pink. That is the student body. Those are generated by student activities, and they are dictated by student choices and different ASB officers throughout each building. I'm sure we have some here. The far left one is the main operating fund of the district. It's called the general fund. That's the one we talk about all the time here, where we ended in a negative, in a deficit, and we're moving to a positive fund balance at the end of the year. Again, as we talked about last month, we're at a little over -$1 million this month. Again, that's different than cash. We still have cash in the bank, but our fund balance, which accounts for other liabilities for the full year, is generated at 1.4 in the negative. What we haven't recognized in this yet are some of the cuts that we've made. That initial reduction in force in January, that's not reflected here yet. That won't actually happen until March in the system. So the accounting systems will recognize that in March, is the easiest way to say. I don't want to get too in the weeds on it. It's probably relatively boring. But we'll recognize those savings as we move forward. Again, we are committed to a positive fund balance at the end of this year. And currently we're at negative, but that is expected as we forecast that out. We've been working with OSPI and our ESD to kind of double check our forecast and ask for any other ideas or ways to save money. We are negotiating with vendors, kind of turn over every rock to make sure that we're having kind of efficient, smooth operations that are more streamlined. Any questions?
Two quick questions.
Yeah.
Number one, if somebody's watching online, is this available on our website to go look at?
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a board packet information. All the board packet information is in a PDF form.
Yeah,
Go
if you're online, you can go look at this and see it clearly is what I'm.
Oh, yes, definitely. And if you have questions about it, because it is kind of difficult to read, not just visually currently, which I apologize for, but feel free to reach out and call me or send me an email. I'm happy to. I've done that for almost 20 years, talking to folks about what it looks like.
Great. And then the one to kind of watch as we head towards the end of this year to end positively is that first column. And
Yes. And so what will happen is, and just like what happened at the end of last year, we'll update you with this every month and in August, and then we'll close the books. There's some ending journal entries that occur, and the books get closed in November. That finalizes this green column. And it'll be around that mid-November, October-ish that we'll have that green column, and the positive is what we're committed to.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Great questions.
Any other questions?
I just want to also mention too, because I know I participated recently individually as well as you did with the state auditor.
Yes.
So that process is going on as usual, like it does every year. I think I've been the person that they do that initial interview of the superintendent and the budget finance and someone from the school board. So I did participate in that, and that will also be going on simultaneously as the state audit always does each year.
Yes.
Of these funds.
Yeah, we're audited each year. We're also doing, there's a financial audit, a federal audit, and accountability audit. All those are happening from the state audit office as we speak. Those are in the works.
Yeah.
Great point.
Okay. Anything else? All right, and then just to reiterate what James said, this is online. It's much clearer online, and it's actually pretty easy to read. So thank you very much for that.
Appreciate it.
Becky, did you have any questions out there?
Not yet, but thanks for asking.
Okay, thank you. On to item number 6, the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look through all that?
I propose to approve this evening's consent agenda.
Could I ask a question about that first?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
So I thought the second reading for that policy from last meeting was going to be on that. And did I miss something? Something I don't know about, or?
Yeah, that policy was removed from the agenda. It was
so
tabled for now.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
You bet.
Go for it.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Okay. Moving right on down to the legislative updates with Lauren.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm just going to do a quick update on the big three. For our special education bills, we've been tracking Senate Bill 5263 and House Bill 1310. Both of these have executive sessions this week, one in the Senate Ways and Means Committee and the other in the House Committee for Appropriations. They will get, they have their executive sessions, so the decision on whether the bill will move forward and switch houses will be made this week. So on those, also on pupil transportation, both Senate Bill 5187 and House Bill 1579, which I'm listing off numbers, which I hate, but I've talked about them recently. So these are also both, those are both in committee, but I didn't see any scheduling for executive sessions. And the bills for materials, supplies, and operational costs, our third big item, Senate Bill 5192 and House Bill 1338. Those are also in executive sessions on the 27th this week, so I encourage everybody to log in, listen. You can sign in as pro or con, depending on your feelings, but I hope everyone votes pro for money. And then the fiscal committee cutoff is on the 28th, which is why these are kind of last minute execing out. And on March 18th, the new state forecast will be released, and after that point, we'll start to see more budget discussions. The governor's budget will come out after that, and I think there'll just be a lot more information after March 18th on the future. So, thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to board member comments. We'll start on the end with Mr. Dale.
Yeah, just two quick things. Congratulations to all the students and all the sports out there this weekend. This last week, it seems like Shelton was everywhere and all over social media, seeing lots of proud parents, not just the ones that went to state and got medals, but everybody involved in districts. Congratulations to everybody. Second, it feels like this last week, lots of questions about policy. And one of the things I'm learning as a newest person on the board, so much of the policy is echoing the laws set at the state level. And so many of these questions you may have, if you're passionate one side or the other, is a state level question to work with your representative. What you vote for in November matters. And so on the board, we're really working to stay within those state laws as required. But your voice is really set at that legislative level. So keep advocating for what you're looking for.
Director Gilmore.
Thank you. I was also going to discuss how our policies that we have in the district are modeling the WASDA policy guidelines, which reflect our state guidelines. This last week, the state superintendent Rickdell did put out a 14-minute YouTube video and sent out letters to the school districts to discuss that, there is the belief that school districts, or the standard that school districts will be continuing to follow our state rules and our policies and guidance on everything. So there was that, and thank you for your emails, and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Director Davison.
Yeah, thank you for coming to the meeting tonight. I, too, want to say congratulations to all the athletes that were out there. It is always exciting to see all of that. I know many of them and the coaches who put their heart and soul into getting them to that level, and it's amazing to see that much success for our Shelton athletes. I also want to say it's been wonderful to see some of the pictures online this week about our elementary age kids going up and getting swim lessons at the pool. I happen to always love that. I did it. My kids have done that. I think that's a great program, and I'm happy to see that kids are still enjoying that, especially with all of the water that we have around here. I do also want to reiterate, I've got high school age students, so I definitely want to remind people that I believe that Evergreen Promise information is this Thursday, as well as information on Running Start programs. I think that's all at the same time on Thursday, but I believe it's being held at OMS, not at the high school. So I know I'll have to double check that. It's at 6 p.m. It's on the website, so don't take my word for it 100%. I do know it's Thursday night, but there's a lot of good information for kids that are in high school for the different programs, Running Start, and then also looking ahead for college for this year's graduates and next year's. So just a reminder about that.
Thank you. Again, I know it sounds like we're beating a dead horse, but God, we got more people going to state now than we've had in decades. Also, want a big shout out to dance. Got their best score of the season. NJROTC knocked it out of the park with all of their routines. They did very well. And we had a guy not just medal at state swimming, but we do now have a new school record in the 100-meter butterfly. That record stood for 30-something years without doing quick math. To echo everybody else, and even...
Could I say something, please?
Oh, Becky, I'm sorry, I forgot you were there. I will let you go as soon as I'm done, I promise.
I understand when you can't see, I know, it's fine.
Well, your name
I want
wasn't...
to tell people about the Sunbucks program that helps with food for kids during the summer. There's a link on the Shelton School District website that can provide you more information. I see it's already up. Olympic Middle School, congratulations to all the students who received the Golden Eagle Award. And also congratulations to the the kids with our FFA class attended the National FFA Week, September 17th through 22nd. So pretty exciting stuff. Thank you to the community for comments. Lauren again for the great legislative update. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Becky. Sorry I forgot you were there. My apologies.
No, I get it.
So just to finish up, again, we did actually end up tabling a policy because there are so many legislative changes that go along with it, and we do tie a lot of our policies to that. Again, reach out to your representatives, Griffey, Cotter, and McEwen. I had a very nice chat with Mr. McEwen the other day. They are working through an awful lot of this stuff, and there are actually laws that contradict themselves, which makes it even harder for us to have policy. With that, there isn't a need for an executive session, so I would take a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're done at 6:39.
Thank you.